Hey, what's going on, guys? Sent out my Twitter link, so we're good to go. I just finished up the ratings, badges, and tendencies for the Golden State Warriors, which you can find in my 2K21 roster, the real 2K rosters. Right now, it's about the fifth most downloaded roster in the game. So I covered the Lakers previously. Here are the Golden State Warriors. Starting off at point guard, Steph Curry missed most of last season, but he's still a MVP candidate, 93 overall. That rates him tied for third or tied for fourth best point guard in the game. I consider LeBron and Luka point guards rather than small forwards. So if you were looking at strictly like point guards, Damian Lillard would be his primary competition. Dame had a Curry-esque season this past year, and Curry was not quite the same like historically great player that he was like 3 to 4 years ago. Looking at like what he did in 2019 rather than 2020, which is more or less a wash. So that's basically where I've got him at, which is on par with like Chris Paul and even like Trae Young. Definitely an offensive dynamo, fantastic shooter. Has a bunch of Hall of Fame shooting badges. Catch and shoot gold. Give me 1 second. Hold on. That might be an oversight. Yeah, we're gonna Hall of Fame that. 1 second. Hall of Fame. Equals gold. All right, so those are his badges. As mentioned before, lots of Hall of Fame badges. The best shooter to ever lace him up. And behind him, the Warriors don't really have a quality backup. They signed Michael Mulder from the G League late in the year, and he was pretty effective. The Warriors liked him, but realistically, he's like, if they got quality minutes out of him, it would be, a welcome surprise. He's more along the lines of like a third string caliber player. Might even play more two guard than actual point guard. Remains to be seen. But based on like the depth chart of the team, I've got him at the 1. Kai Bowman, kind of a fringe level, like. Doesn't excel at any particular field, but he was also solid last year. And the fact that like once Curry got hurt, this is the reason why the Warriors season basically got sabotaged. They had nobody capable of replacing him. And previously, when they had the contenders together, they had Sean Livingston, they had Leandro Barbosa, they had Ian Clark. They had reasonable options behind him. So definitely, this is an area where the team has downgraded. And I think if they're going to be championship contenders, this is an area that they're going to have to improve upon. Certainly, you don't want these guys to be the one of these guys to be the number 2 backup, right? As they're probably, if you either one as the primary backup would be like the lowest rated backup point guard in the league. So moving on to 2 guards, the Warriors without Klay Thompson the entire year. He's going to be a big addition. One of the better two-way players in the league. He's basically, I equate him to if Reggie Miller could play defense at a high level. So That's where he's at. It remains to be seen whether or not he's going to slip at all coming off of his injury, especially at age 30. The Warriors aren't the most athletic team in the world, so that might be a weakness for them moving forward. Certainly something they need to address with the draft and free agency. But we'll cover that in a second. Damian Lee, he's actually related to the Currys. Why are we disconnected from remote play? Why did this happen again? All right, I gotta reboot. OBS. Okay, should be back online. Let me just make sure that it is in the channel before we move forward. Okay, we're back. All right, so Damian Lee, he's in the family. He's married to one of Curry's sisters. So he's going to be with the team in the long haul. He did a pretty good job as the starter this year, replacing Klay Thompson. But obviously he's going to take a reduced role with Thompson healthy again. But solid, which makes him a solid backup 2 guard overall. 76 overall is like Austin Rivers tier, I would say. And Jordan Poole had a pretty forgettable rookie year. He was drafted 28th overall in the first round, so he's with the team for the long haul, but they need more efficient play out of him. He was absolutely dreadful, like historically dreadful, like his first 2 months in the league, before kind of like crawling back efficiency-wise. Like he was shooting like 10%, I think, in the first couple months. He's a guy that, you know, he can score off the dribble typically. That's what they're going to look for from him. He might be the backup point guard on this team. I would consider him a better playmaker than Michael Mulder, so he might be somebody that they can play next to him because he's going to be able to create a little bit. So that's something worth keeping an eye on. He might do a position switch. Depends again also who they pick up in free agency, also how he develops, you know, how he's playing in camp, etc. So worth keeping an eye on him. Andrew Wiggins was their big acquisition this past season. They signed D'Angelo Russell and then traded him at the break for Wiggins, who fits more of what they were looking for to begin with. He's basically Harrison Barnes, like the caliber of player that Barnes was with the team the first year that they won the championship. Maybe even a little better than what Barnes was. Pretty good slasher, good athlete. He's probably the most athletic guy on the team, besides Marquise Chris. And the Warriors need that, you know. They've got 2 30-year-olds on the perimeter, so they need a guy with Wiggins skills. You know, he's no Kevin Durant, but they don't need him to be. And Juan Toscano, kind of a late bloomer, joined the NBA at age 26, 27. Don't know a ton about him, but he's basically a fast break scorer and a little bit of a defender. They're not really. I'd be surprised if they entered the season with him as like the primary backup. He's more or less like another third string guy, like a Michael Mulder. You know, there isn't a ton of upside, but certainly he's like an NBA caliber player. So that's one of the holes they should be looking to fill. And then at power forward, they have Draymond Green is still the starter. He declined a little bit, but some of it is like he needs great players around him for his strengths to really excel. And certainly a lot of his value is tied up in being a playmaker with a Steph Curry on the court, because he's one of the best passing power forwards in the NBA. Curry's able to come off screens rather than create his own shot. So that has a lot of value. He has a lot of value on the team that he wouldn't normally otherwise on most teams. So still a solid player. 2K's got him at like a 79 overall. I still have him at an 83 because he is a good defender, even if he's not a great offensive player, or at least he's not a great scorer, obviously. But he's not like a zero on offense because of his playmaking, and he's a solid defender. So 83 overall. Eric Pascal led the team in minutes this year, and he was solid. He's basically right now the sixth man on this team. Decent overall scorer. That makes him a good handcuff to Green, because if in lineups where they need more scoring, they can just swap the two out. They play a little bit together, but I'm not sure if Pascal's good enough defensively to like handle the three realistically. But maybe, he's got at 6'6", 250. That's kind of like in the Paul Millsap defensive territory. He's good at the four. He's going to be able to have the strength and quickness to control a lot of guys. But for anybody faster than that, like I wouldn't expect him to be able to guard like an Andrew Wiggins, let's say. That would be asking a little much. But overall, solid piece for the future. They drafted him in the second round, so pretty high upside there. But also will have a smaller offensive role next year than he did this year, which is worth keeping an eye on, because a lot of his value, I think, is tied up in one-on-one scoring, and he's going to have to establish himself as an off-ball shooter. And then we got the centers. Marquise Chris had a great year as a reclamation project for the Warriors. Ended up earning a regular contract. He started off with a non-guaranteed deal, and eventually got converted to like a two-way deal, and then they ended up giving him a regular contract again, which he's non-guaranteed at $1.8 million, but like he's basically a lock to make the team, and he might be the starter for this team moving forward. I don't think that's something that they want necessarily, but if he was like their backup, I think they'd be ecstatic. But as a starter, I think he's completely acceptable. He wasn't too far off from what they got from. They signed Willie Cauley-Stein last year to be the starter, and Chris ended up being pretty close to what Cauley-Stein gave them. And he's a former lottery pick, so if he's able to maintain that play and maybe, improve a little bit moving forward. He was solid on the post, and he's a good passer, and really his defense is what's going to determine whether or not he ends up being a great player. But Kevon Looney, he had a absolute terrible year. Has dealt with injuries for most of his career now, and it kind of you kind of have to expect that with him moving forward. You don't really know if you can't rely on him, I don't think. If he's healthy, it's a luxury, but otherwise I wouldn't be super comfortable with him as like the second string. I'd really be looking at him as like the third string, and if he outplays and is able to produce, that's just gravy. And Smiley's 20. That's basically what you can say about him. He's got a lot of developing to do. He was all right in the G League, but I don't think he's going to be a player for this team moving forward, or not, at least not a playoff contributor, shall we say. 5 years from now, he may very well be a starter for this team, but as of right now, I wouldn't expect to see a ton out of him this year. Although worth noting, if Looney isn't able to stay healthy, they don't have a ton of other options without dipping into free agency. Though I expect they will. The center market is very deep in free agency, and not a lot of those guys are going to be settling for like minimum contracts. So I would be shocked if the Warriors weren't able to upgrade this year at the center position. So that was them. I got to save and share. Oops. Since I did update one of Curry's badges. And we're going to jump into a sim. as soon as we upload. Okay, that's where 2K has the Warriors. You can see I downgraded Curry and Clay just a little bit. They're definitely overrated by 2K, I would say, and we bumped up everybody else on the team. Generally speaking, with a lot of the higher rated players, they're usually like a tick or two overrated, and everybody else is just like usually massively underrated. They only focus on, you know, the top guys usually. So let's load in the roster. Okay. So the Warriors have a pretty big advantage on the wings, but the Lakers have a much better front line. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Draymond Green can control Anthony Davis.
Ready and waiting for you right now. Season 2 will also have new agendas featuring some of the best performances from up-and-coming players in the league,
such as Luka's NBA debut and Ja Morant's first 30-point game.
As for the Season 2 reward players, well, let's just say you're in for a
All right. Well, Curry's going to be shooting over LeBron this game, which is kind of not ideal. You guys see how Clay slid on that pick and roll? Wow. I could see one area of concern that the Warriors would have in this matchup is, LeBron is a lot bigger than Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins from a strength perspective. And those are the guys who would be tasked with guarding him. Either that or they got to put Draymond Green on him, but I don't think Draymond Green is, really fast enough to cover LeBron at this stage, and somebody's got to guard Anthony Davis, of course, you know. So this could be a little bit of a matchup problem for them. Okay. Wow, Anthony Davis off a screen. Nobody there. Oh man, I can't stand. I gotta pause the video real quick because I gotta harp on something. So the way that 2K has their game programmed, this shot right here is a 3. According the AI thinks it's a 3. The 3-point rating and tendency affects this area of the court, like with a foot inside the line. They don't make a distinguishment. So that's something that 2K needs to adjust and clean up with the game. Like, Klay Thompson would not settle for this shot in real life. He would keep moving until he got to the 3-point line. And this is one of the issues that that 2K has got to fix if they want to increase the amount of threes that are occurring in their game. You know, this is realistically a play that, you know, catch the ball and keep going. We got some sponsorship replays going on. Oh, I didn't touch on this during the roster analysis, but Marquise Chris is basically the only lob threat on this team. That includes Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins wasn't really a lob threat this year. I actually took Lob City Finisher off of him, and that's something that the Warriors are going to have to figure out. You know, you need to have a consistent lob threat, I think. It's always good to have that option, at least. Okay. Wow, Hall of Fame catch and shoot, you know? I have shot feedback turned on, so you guys can see all these shot releases. The coding of the game, the AI, they vary. The shot release is always going to vary to create a more variance in the gameplay experience. So we see that even though Curry had all day for that shot, he had like a slightly late release. And we don't get to see like how slightly late it was, because there is a difference between, you know, being like 5% off and being like 25% off when it comes to slightly late. That's actually something that the badges are supposed to smooth out, stuff like flexible release, steady shooter, etc. So even though Curry has like gold in all of those badges, you know, it's still a shot that that he's capable of missing. Wow. Okay, LeBron with the Kobe assist. Not a huge fan that Curry keeps getting to the rim. That you know, the lead passing in this game is definitely a problem. That hopefully they get fixed for next gen. That was a pretty trash tier double team. Wow. Okay, here we got a green release. Curry with no conscience coming off a screen. Wow. So I could see Pascal being a power forward. They definitely are lacking size. Yeah, Kevon Looney is a center, and Pascal is the power forward. Yeah, so definitely an area that the Warriors can look to improve upon in free agency. Wow. Good pass, I guess. I don't like how easy it is for the guards to get these get the interior passes. All right, solid overall. Way better than the Clippers Lakers sim that I did last night. Last night it was 45-15 Lakers after the first quarter. They got the Clippers got absolutely smoked right out of the gate. So this is at least more competitive. Okay, Curry. Klay Thompson's over 3. LeBron a little, nah, I wouldn't say passive, I guess. He's 3 for 6. But definitely Anthony Davis, the focal point so far. Lakers only take 1 3. Warriors took 5. It's kind of an issue with the Lakers. The way they're set up is because LeBron has such a size mismatch on Curry all the time, he is going to attack the rim. And unless the defense stops him, he's not going to kick out the shooters. Right now, Anthony Davis is just feasting on the Warriors also. He's got a size mismatch too. So it makes sense that they're gonna attack the paint. Okay. Not the prettiest possession, but Pascal's certainly capable of making that play in real life. Okay, we see Jordan Poole's actually the point guard for the team. That's a garbage tier shot by the computer. That's one of the downsides to the tendencies is sometimes they make a decision to take a certain type of shot, regardless of whether it makes sense to in that situation. Okay. Good pass. I much prefer passes like that, as it was sideways rather than it was horizontal rather than or what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like left to right, I should say, rather than like forward. Like the straight line interior passes, those are the ones that I really take issue with. That's a 2 foot on the line. What I mean by that is a lot of the lead passes are just like straight towards the rim, and those are passes that like don't really happen in real life. But like a play where a player drove at the rim and then kicked it off to the side is more in line with the kind of passing that you see in the NBA. I'm thrilled with every three that the Lakers hit, as they don't take a ton. It's definitely something I want to see more of. Flagrant. I got to see the replay. Garbage tier angle. Oh yeah, he doesn't make a play on the ball. He just whacks him in the face. I think that's the first flagrant I've seen this year. Well, Lakers are getting to the line. Ah, come on, man. It's a good shot. Kuzma's hot. That's Kuzma's second green in the last couple minutes. I just realized I may have had the game audio off in stream, so. Them lead passes. He would have given that up. Come on. I don't like the 2K logic on some of the fast breaks. It's another missed three. Curry, yeah, all right. There we go. Curry got that one to drop. Wow, well, that's some defense. That is some defense. Yeah, I mean, points in the paint when the way that 2K has their double team logic set up in the game, like I've learned to stop stressing out over like looking at certain stats like points in the paint and whatnot as like a determining factor for whether the tendencies are good or not, because there's only so much you can do to limit the boneheaded plays of the computer. Double teaming as a concept, the way that 2K executes it doesn't exist in real life the same way. Teams don't like hard double anymore. This is in 1995. Okay, Curry's starting to go off a little bit. Sure, I guess. Another dunk for LeBron on a similar action. Okay, hopefully that counted as a three. They probably should have been holding for the last shot. I just realized. Oh my god, man. Yeah, I might need to drop like some of LeBron's dunk tendencies or something. Why? Why is this unskippable? All right, box. Lakers shoot 60%. Getting most of it at the rim. 12 free throws, 2 for 4 on threes. Warriors are 3 for 10 on threes. Not quite. Not as that number's not as high as I would like it to be. For sure. But also might be a product of them standing on the line for a bunch of their shots. 3, 4, 5, 6 mid-range shots for the Warriors. 3, 4, 5 for the Lakers. Lakers are getting a ton more shots at the rim. A lot of that is probably on offensive rebounds too. Well, Curry's, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 3 of 6, 3 of 5. And yeah, he's gotten seven shots at the rim. Some of that is just like the shitty defense being played by the computer, though. I definitely don't think Curry should be taking 7 shots at the rim in a half. Pascal's been solid otherwise. And Klay Thompson's like ice cold. But at least he's taken like a reasonable amount of shots. Realistically, he should be taking more threes too. Like, Jordan Poole. Yeah, one thing I actually forgot to adjust is let me see the Lakers real quick. Is the play types for the Warriors. So I hope that's not too big of an issue. Something I'll definitely look at after this game. KCP's all shots at the rim. I need those all need to become threes. I'm actually going to work on that in the background, the play types for the Warriors. So I'm going to mute my mic while I do that. That play right there has got to be something from the Laker playbook that keeps getting KCP at the rim like that. It's probably intended to be like LeBron in that scenario. That's what I like to see. I want to get more out of that out of the roster. It's kind of a green out of nowhere for Damian Lee. I noticed with this lineup that the Warriors have, they don't have a go-to guy. It's really just Pascal. It's the entire second unit. I'm not a huge fan of the way 2K does their subs, especially this year, as things tend to break down a little bit once you take all the stars off the court. NBA teams, that's a general observation for just NBA teams, not the game in general. You know, you always need somebody that you can run your offense through. Teams typically will stagger their stars as a result. Like LeBron and usually the Lakers always have either LeBron or AD on the court at all times. And the Warriors, you know, I doubt that they would ever have a lineup without Curry or Clay on the court. I hate this game sometimes. Man, that lineup got absolutely murked. And I guess that's one of the issues I didn't really touch on is for this Warriors team is depth is an issue. You know, they were a lot deeper when they were winning championships. But they have a lot of guys who are effectively third strings playing prominent roles at the moment. Klay Thompson's having a game to forget. But Curry's been solid. Pascal's been pretty good. Pascal's basically carrying the second unit. LeBron 29, 7, and 8. I need to get him to shoot more threes and not get as many clear path dunks. Some of that falls on 2K and not anything you can really do tendency-wise. Also, it's kind of the same issue with like KCP. I think one of the plays in the Lakers playbook has got to go. Like whatever's getting the all those clear path dunks at the rim for KCP really shouldn't be there. All right, 10 threes for the Lakers and 18 for the Warriors. Lakers are getting the free throw line. Warriors haven't gotten to the line since the first quarter or first half. That was a pretty brutal third quarter. Lakers mopped them by 20. And we'll see if the Warriors can stage any type of comeback, but it's kind of elementary. And I see Avery Bradley's in the game, who's out of the rotation for the Lakers, so this is probably extended garbage time. Oh my god, we got a J.R. Smith sighting, actually. Yeah, he probably should have pulled up. A little unclear as to why he didn't decide for maybe just his mid-range tendency. This is going to be an ugly last 10 minutes, I can already see. The alley-oops in this game are terrible. All right, and that's game. Wow. All right, well, I guess Klay Thompson's still sidelined. But nightmare third quarter. Yeah, the starters didn't even play in the second half, really. Wiggins had a little bit of a garbage time special in that fourth quarter. Yeah, Juan Toscano played 26 minutes in this game, which kind of says it all. And that's how much garbage time there was. Klay Thompson didn't bother checking back in. Three threes for the Warriors. It's not the worst. Definitely could be better, but again, I mean, some of that might be Klay Thompson being on the bench. I'm going to check out their play types now and make sure everything was okay. I'm sure something was off because 2K hasn't updated a lot of these in years. Okay, Curry's fine. Klay is fine. Wiggins is mostly fine. Like some of these, by the way, I would switch the priority order. Like I would have pick and roll wing number 1 for Wiggins rather than post up. Draymond Green, roll, post, roll. Okay, I would probably take mid-range off of Pascal. I don't think any player in the league really should have this play type anymore. So low post would actually be his number 1, and he doesn't have a post play in his priorities. Okay, so definitely something I'm going to adjust. Yeah, I kind of noticed he was getting on the ball a little bit more than he should. Really, he's just like a cutter. He ain't doing all this stuff. Okay. Poole should be coming off screens a lot, and he doesn't have 3-point at all. Oof, Damian Lee, same thing. Yeah, so 2K hasn't updated these play types in years, and like the Warriors come off more screens than any other team in the league, and we see their top two like backup guards don't even have screen plays assigned to them. So that might have hurt the bench unit a little bit. Ditto for Mulder. He's not a pick and roll guy. He comes off screens. All right, so those are adjustments that I'm going to make momentarily, and then I'll re-upload that. So I'm going to grab some lunch. Thanks, guys, for watching. I might be back a little later tonight with another team matchup. Thanks for watching.